Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As you can see, this is not our usual abode. We are not home. We're obviously not in a shop or my house. We are actually at an Airbnb up in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. And when you're on vacation, it's always time to open a beer. So get that open and kick this video off. And as you just saw from the jet landing, we landed at Lehigh. It's either Lehigh Valley International Airport or whatever, but it's outside of Allentown, Pennsylvania. And then we drove up here to Long Pond, and we drove up here so that we could go ahead and attend the Race Motive Fall Finisher race event, roll racing event at Pocono Speedway. So yeah, so we came up here, obviously not with the Corvette or truck. The hour-and-a-half flight was a lot quicker than the 15-hour drive that it was for us when we drove out to Marion, Indiana for the Shift Sector roll racing event on the runway. And you guys will see in later clips, my friend Matt also drove out from New York. He just drove his truck so that we both could spectate this Race Motive event and kind of just see if it's worth, you know, dipping our toes in this pond, as they say. And as you know, we both drove out to the Shift Sector event when we were welcomed with open arms, and you know, that event was really good, really small. This event was more, I wouldn't say corporate, but it definitely had a lot more people there, and so, you know, there really wasn't that personal touch that the guys over at Shift Sector gave us. Now, that's not a dig at Race Motive or anything, but, you know, it's just something that I noticed that, you know, you're kind of just a number because there were a ton more people here. Obviously, a cornfield in Indiana is not as close as a race at Poconos. You know, Poconos is central, upper northeast, sort of like that. So, you know, you got plenty of people that can come from East Coast, the South like us, New York, whatever. I saw cars with numbers starting in 500, 600, 700. Now, I don't know if they had 700 cars racing. I don't think they did because the lines simply did not reflect that many people. But if they started the numbering at 500, then it definitely seems like they had at least 200 to 300 cars, because I definitely saw 500, 600, 700. I don't think I saw any 800s, but there's probably like 200 plus cars that were roll racing today. The one thing I would say about Poconos is I wish they had more shade. And the only reason I could say that is because I flew in, I had no access to a pop-up tent, nothing like a Harbor Freight pop-up or anything like that. There were a couple areas where you could get out of the sun, basically under the bleachers or in the NASCAR garage, but those areas were really pretty crowded because the people were doing the same thing that we were trying to do. We were trying to get out of the sun. As for the weather, Matt and I both thought, since this was like beginning of October, you know, in Pennsylvania, it should be, I don't know, 60 degrees and cool. Yeah, it was 85 degrees and sunny and hot here. And back home in North Carolina, the high today was 80. So I actually flew north to get hotter and sunburned. So that's kind of one of those weird things that I just noticed. But yeah, so anyway, long enough of an intro. Let's go ahead, roll into the footage, and we'll pick this up when we're done. So yeah, there you go. You guys saw a bunch of clips of various cars racing in the garage, idling, roll racing, you know, doing burnouts. And yeah, I mean, overall the event looked like it was being ran pretty smoothly. The weird thing for me that I can't get in my mind is they want you to do a burnout on pit row. Then you have to go drive down the road course, I don't know, maybe a quarter mile. It didn't seem very, you know, close. Do some road course curves and then get back onto like turn 3 on Pocono on the oval, tri-oval. And then you sit there, wait, and then you do your roll race. So it's like you do your burnout 10 minutes before you roll race, because that kind of seems what the time frame was. Maybe not 10 minutes, but it's definitely at least 5 minutes or more. And so yeah, for that big gap from where you do your burnout and the starting section of where you're starting to your 0 to 60, I don't see the point in doing a burnout. And that's just a weird thing that I noticed. I mean, obviously this format of roll racing I am new to. And yeah, so it seems a little strange. Maybe it makes sense to other people, but for Matt and I, it did not make sense. Oh, and obviously, you guys can tell I'm here by myself. Matt is not here. He got called into work for an emergency project after the event, so he rolled home. And I will be going ahead and flying home tomorrow because the last flight out of Lehigh to Charlotte, direct flight, I think it left at like 3 o'clock, and it's an hour drive. Plus, he got to get to the airport like 2 hours early or hour and a half early, whatever. And yeah, so tomorrow we're going to leave here at 10. I think my flight's at 1. So, you know, we should have plenty of time to get to the airport. Now, as far as my favorite car that I saw at the roll race event, I think I would say I have 2 favorite cars. One was a C6 Z06 that had a full drivetrain out of a ZR1 in it. So it had the LS9, the blower, it had a Kong lid, looked like it had the, you know, whole intercooler kit, the carbon ceramic brakes, all that stuff. Looks like they did, you know, a basically a driveline swap from a ZR1 into a Z06. Now, I tried to find the driver, but I think that car belonged to a shop. So there were a lot of people just kind of scrambling, running around. I will say that is one thing I noticed. This event had a lot, not less friendly people, but just a lot of people that were busy and didn't really have time to talk to people. And I ran into a couple YouTubers that actually did that. And I'm not going to mention any names, but there's a guy in Pennsylvania, gives a lot of cars away and doesn't really have any good content. That guy was there. I took pictures of that car. But the one YouTuber that was actually relatively easy to talk to was, I forget the guy's name. He works for Lee C Auto Parts. It's not Scrap Life Lee. It's like his brother. It's the guy that did the 2J swap into the Hellcat. And that guy was pretty easy to talk to. So I did talk to him for a bit and just got a little bit of info on the car. And I have watched some of the video for that build series for that car. But yeah, that guy, he was there. He seemed pretty cool. So, but yeah, we've gone ahead and already talked long enough about this video. I just wanted to give it a good intro and a good outro. I'm going to sit here, drink a couple beers, and head to bed, and we will edit this video and get it out for you guys. But before we do get out of here, regular channel updates. I think we'll have a truck video next, and then potentially a Corvette video. I'm in the middle of doing that interior harness swap, the wiring and all that. Still working on that. We got a bunch of parts in. I actually worked on the car Friday night before I left Saturday, and we actually edited a good chunk of that video. So more updates, that will be very soon. And then after that, we may run into those gaps that we talked about in a couple videos ago. But yeah, so a little bit of a surprise trip. Obviously, Matt and I knew about it, but you guys didn't know about it, and I hope you enjoyed my coverage of the Race Motive event. So yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, hit that like button. If you guys want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, turn on your bell notifications. And if you guys want to help support the channel, check out all the links down below supporting the channel. Check out our website, BonecrrusherSS.com. Any support you can give there goes right back into the channel. Merch, the sales, the t-shirts, parts, all that goes right back into the channel, the equipment, the Corvette, the truck, and all that. So that's be it. Thanks, guys. Have a great one.